Good afternoon. As you can see, my project is titled America is Growing Larger, Obesity in America. To be able to wholly see the severity of this epidemic, I feel it is necessary to give a brief introduction of obesity, and then we will dive further into my research question in the upcoming slides. So, what exactly is obesity? Obesity is universally defined as a disorder involving excessive body fat that increases the risk of health problems. Now, you may be asking yourself, how do we determine if someone is obese? Well, industry standard is to use a measurement called body mass index, or more commonly known as BMI. There is a standard formula used to calculate BMI. It's normally calculated using kilograms and meters, but a conversion formula can be used as well. This formula reads the following: BMI equals weight in pounds multiplied by 703, all divided by height in inches squared. You should get a two-digit number as your final answer. As you can see in the picture to your right, BMI is classified into 4 categories, each with their respective ranges. Obesity is associated with a number of 30 or greater, a BMI number of 30 or greater. A BMI of 40 or more would put an individual in an extremely obese category. In addition to BMI, there are other ways to identify an obese individual, such as waist measurement, snoring, frequent heartburn, achy joints, and chronic fatigue. Being obese can cause some major health risks for individuals. 4 major organs that could potentially be damaged due to excess body fat can include the brain, heart, lungs, and colon. A study in 2010 showed negative association with cognitive function with obesity measures. Hardening of the artery walls, which affects the heart, is 10 times more common in obese people in comparison with healthy people. People who are obese run a greater risk for obstructive sleep apnea, putting strain on the lungs. Colorectal cancers are more common among obese individuals, which brings me to my next point, that being obese also leads to other severe health risks. The picture to the right outlines 6 out of the many that can be caused by obesity. These diseases are type 2 diabetes, hyperlipidemia, obstructive sleep apnea, heart disease, hypertension, and osteoarthritis. Obesity is also currently linked to 13 different types of cancer. Now that we have a good understanding of obesity, we can proceed to the research question, which reads, how does American culture influence obesity in America? My research was conducted using online articles, previous studies, pictures, and a video. While trying to decide on a topic, I asked several people what they felt a health problem in our society was. Obesity seemed to be the most popular one. As I was doing some preliminary research, I stumbled upon this video on YouTube titled Fast Food, Fat Profits, Obesity in America. It really outlines how the fast food scene now plays such a big role in American society, as we will later see. And this video was uploaded in 2010. So fast food is even more relevant in society now in the year 2018. That's when I decided I wanted to pursue this research topic, because I was able to clearly see the link to a biocultural research approach. I've embedded the video in the presentation if you wanted to later watch it and see what sparked my interest, but for time purposes, I will not play it in this presentation. Next, we will discuss the literature review. I think it makes sense to go in chronological order, so we will begin by discussing the history of obesity in America. As many of us know, obesity is a major health concern that the United States continues to face. But it wasn't always such a large problem, no pun intended. What is now an epidemic was a much less concern in prior years. The 20th century is where the increase in fat and sugar intake began. This was to combat the malnutrition society was facing at the time. Unfortunately, they resorted to low-cost source of calories, which included foods that contained high amounts of fats and sugars. This is when the obesity rate rose from almost nothing to about 15%. And by the late 1900s, a trend towards a heavier America started to become clear. This is also when fast food chains started putting their foot in the door, making their presence known, and this is when more Americans were starting to live more stationary lifestyles. In the year 2010, Americans were still growing larger, and I don't mean taller. In America, now, 1 in every 3 adults are considered to be obese. There have even been cases with people having a body mass index of 40 or higher, as mentioned earlier in the presentation, making them extremely obese. In fact, the extreme obesity rate is now 1 out of every 20 adults, which amounts to about 6% of the American population, which is pretty crazy. As you can see, this graph shows obesity among US adults starting in 1960. As the years progressed, obesity rates in America have steadily increased. The obesity rate is projected to be at 50% by the year 2030 if no change takes place. And although genetics can play a role in obesity, many obese cases are due to poor eating habits. Bigger portion sizes, increased caloric intake, combined with inadequate physical activity, all contribute to obesity. This is where fast food comes into play, as mentioned earlier. Most fast food restaurants sell food that contain lots of sugar, fats, and carbs. They lack nutritional value and do not contain necessary elements to a healthy diet, such as vitamins and minerals. Taking in unhealthy calories causes this excessive weight gain, which will in time lead to more weight gain and eventually obesity. Another factor that contributes to weight gain is large portions, which goes hand in hand with lower cost. It has been noted that with portions becoming large, a person will still eat the whole meal, disregarding the fact that they are full or not, whether they are full or not, which is I find bizarre. Eating bigger portions of junk food contribute to more weight gain. Piggybacking off of that, you get more for your buck at fast food places. A woman in the video earlier in the presentation said, quote, "I can buy a burger cheaper than I can buy an apple," end quote. To further prove this, the University of Washington conducted a study regarding this. They found that 2,000 calories of healthy food cost much more than 2,000 calories of fast food. This factor is the reason why obesity is much more prevalent in classes of lower income. The last, and I believe the reason why most people heavily rely on fast food, is due to the convenience. Americans live hectic lives and don't always have time to cook healthy meals. Fast food restaurants are usually in a close proximity to neighborhoods, and now apps like Uber Eats make it even more convenient to have this food delivered. The picture on this slide is representative of portion sizes from now compared to 1915. You might be able to guess the next leading cause of obesity. Yep, it's technology. The Journal of American Dietetic Association reported that 9 out of 10 food ads were shown during Saturday morning children's programming. These commercials are very appealing to the eye. However, the food that is being advertised are high in fat, sodium, and added sugars. Both children and adults are marketed through these commercials for these unhealthy foods. In addition, it has been proven that the more time spent in front of television or computer screens leads to more snacking. This doesn't necessarily mean healthy snacking either. Excessive exposure to television, phone, or laptops prior to bed impedes sleep. As I learned in psychology last year, sleep is critical in living a healthy lifestyle, as the brain rids the body of toxins during sleep. A study shows that a person who is sleep deprived will also consume about 300 extra calories a day. In addition, increased screen exposure limits the time actually spent doing physical activity. Moving forward, we can see that the United States is the leading country with the most obesity. The picture on the left shows America compared to the rest of the world in both children and adults. The right picture shows the US with many other countries. These graphs are just another way of seeing America as the leading country with the highest obesity count. To conclude,